Thanks for downloading a 3CR podcast. 3CR is an independent community radio station based in Melbourne, Australia. We need your financial support to keep going. Go to www.3cr.org.au for more information and to donate online. Now stay tuned for your 3CR podcast.
We're putting up new buildings, we're knocking down the old. We're working in the summer heat and in the winter cold. And the labour power we sell, me boys, for a hard-earned weekly pay produces mighty profits for the greedy MBA. And whether we were born here or born in Italy, in Greece, in Spain or Ireland, in England or Fiji, we all of us are workers, united we must stand, until the wealthy bludgers have been driven from our land. We faced deregistration, it backfired in the face. We're not fooled by arbitration, we won't stay in our place. We hit the bosses hard and fast to win and keep our gains, and break a couple of concrete pours to back our log of claims. So keep your powder dry and hold your head up high. It's class to class and face to face, our limit is the sky. We've got a fighting history and we never will be cowed. Our builders' labour is a name to make a man feel proud.
And it is indeed a very good morning from the Concrete Gang. Bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, and recovered from the festivities of Monday, which is more than I can say for a couple of our regulars. Good morning, Colin. Good morning, String Bean, and Annie at the panel. Are we all feeling very chipper this morning?
No. Very, very chipper.
Well, at least you're here. Unlike the other two, couldn't bloody well get themselves here. They're exhausted after all that stuff on Monday, which was, to my mind, a big day out and a very enjoyable one too.
Yes, and may I say that congratulations to Warren and the Gorilla for putting on a great show once again at the Salubrious Palace Hotel.
The Salubrious Palace Hotel, which I got to say did themselves a treat. The food was excellent. The bar was absolutely working overtime. Everyone was happy, and the jaded cats absolutely laid them in the aisle. And a cheerio to Spike this morning. You can dance.
Very good.
Yes, there's a few boys who showed that their upbringing took place very much in the pub rock milieu.
Very good. And may I say, too, the cake was absolutely beautiful. I never got a piece, but I'm told it was beautiful. It looked great. It looked great.
Good. And it tasted great.
And what was left over went back to the office, and all the office girls are all cursing the Concrete Gang for all the calories they took on by finishing off the cake. There was an effort, I might add, by one regular of the Concrete Gang to just get a bit of cake, in fact, quite a bit of cake, wrapped it all up in the old paper towel and had it stashed. And when he was heading back to Geelong, he went to find his cake, and guess what? Been put back on the plate. And looking around, with everyone observing him, he decided he would go back to Geelong without cake.
Oh, is that right?
So a very good morning to the Buzz, who is been up in Brisbane as the chief negotiator in the Lend-Lease negotiations for the new National EBA. Absolutely laying them in the aisles, so much so that now they're going to have a protected action ballot to actually get somewhere with the negotiations.
Well, nothing's new there. I think we were there 3 years ago from memory.
Indeed. Now, just on a note, the Buzz is actually putting in, and the Buzz didn't put in with the cake, but anyway, he certainly identified a very fine piece of pastry cooking. Righto, we raised some money on Monday. Terrific job for all those who came down and supported the show and supported 3CR. We can't give you the final figure yet, basically because there's a whole lot of cash in the safe, but we haven't counted yet. But we will be able to meet the target set for us, which is, I think, 18 grand. We're probably halfway there already before the function, so we should meet our target. And I think we can say that I think we're in the groove now when we run these functions. The Palace Hotel are performing well. The band, Jaded Cats, is absolutely going a treat. And everyone had a good time. And the bar staff said they wished that the listeners to the Concrete Gang frequented the pub every day, because they were such a good, polite and cooperative group of people to serve.
Yes, well, you know, construction workers know how to have a beer and know how to behave themselves. And they're at the pub, and the Palace is a traditional pub.
Yes.
Fantastic little place there on City Road, and fantastic bar staff too, I have to say. Yep,
it was absolutely did themselves a treat. We should just mention that the show, which was recorded during the festivities on Monday, will be put to air next Sunday. Need to put a little bit of an intro in there and put the Concrete Gang song in there and so on, and we'll be going to air next Sunday with that show. And it was interesting to have the originals, the original crew who did the first Concrete Gang and started the whole tradition that's now gone on for 40 years. That's a little group of blokes who had various names like Mario and so on. Willie, we learned about how Willie got his name and so on. But look, Ian Bolton, Paul Kamakazov, and Phil Court, Bobby Mancour were there. They were all originals. They got the show going, and we've kept it going for 40 years. And I think we all agree that the greatest stalwart of the Concrete Gang was Johnny Cummins, who kept it going for most of that 40 years. And it's an absolute tribute to Cummo that the show is still going and still raising money and keeping 3CR on the air. So again, thanks very much for all those who gave their support. And I hope everyone had a good time and come back again next year.
I'm sure they will.
And if, on a lesser note, you haven't put in the pledge that you made to the Radiothon, you better get your ass into 3CR or the Union office and get your money across the counter.
Yes, if you've rung in and you've made a donation and we've named you on air, we'll be happy to name you on air next week as well as being a welcher.
Indeed. Now, what's the main game at the moment? EBAs. And folks, the delegates meeting this week had a report on where the state of play is with the renewal of EBAs. There is a process under the Fair Work Act. Notices have been issued. The notice for representative rights has been issued. The documents are out to be circulated among employees, and there's 21 days, and there's this, that, and the bloody other. Thanks, Julia Gillard, for making life so bloody complicated. But nevertheless, there is in excess of 150 agreements certified. There's a whole lot more waiting certification, and there is, I think, somewhere in the order of probably about 300 to 400 which are currently waiting the final vote, which will then go in for certification. So we're moving ahead in Victoria. We've still got a long way to go, and obviously we don't know what the Senate is going to be. Mr Turnbull seems to have got across the line by one or two majority, but when it comes to the Senate, who can predict what's going to happen there? I mean, Darren Hinch, Pauline, all those rabbits that have been elected by various people around Australia. The only thing that I can say is a positive is that Bob Day, a stalwart of the HIA and hater of the CFMEU, didn't get re-elected.
Yep.
So that's one less vote for Malcolm. But who knows what's going to happen with the Senate. So all we can say to people is don't listen to the bullshit coming out of the MBA. Don't listen to the bullshit coming out of the Turnbull government. There's only one code in place at this time, and that's the 2013 code, and there is an agreement, which is the agreement which has been put out across the industry. That agreement was initially signed with ProBuild. It has gone into Fair Work Building Commission. Our good friend Nigel Hatchkis, and he had all his lawyers look at it, and we've all seen the letter now coming back from Nigel Hatchkis's crew saying it is compliant with the 2013 code.
Indeed it is.
And if you want to wait around and muck around and face protected action, because we've gone through the whole Fair Work process and we're in a position now, if people are not interested in signing on to a patent agreement, which is all legal, then we have to go to the next stage, which is we are going to negotiate with each company individually, and we're going to make more demands than what are in the patent, and we're going to get on with protected action or whatever we have to do under the Fair Work Act to conclude an agreement. All legal. Sorry, you can say what you like. We only get a chance to take industrial action legally, apparently, when we're negotiating EBAs, and that's the time we're at now. So there's a whole lot of people who are MBA stalwarts, a whole lot of opportunists out there who are mucking around, stuffing around. Well, 1st of July was the pay rise for a whole lot of people, and there'll be a whole lot of other people saying, well, why haven't I got my money?
Indeed.
So it's going to be on, folks, and the interesting thing is that at this point in time, Nigel Hatchkis and his crew are saying the pro-build agreement is code compliant, but that doesn't mean every agreement is code compliant. Well, it's a pattern. They're all the bloody same. So they're all code compliant, aren't they? Unfortunately, for New South Wales branch, there is a whole lot of arguments to be had about whether their agreement is code compliant with the 13 code. I think that's also the case with Queensland, but in Victoria, we're charging forward. And the interesting thing is, it's all going to get tested again with Lend-Lease and their protected action ballot.
Ooh, love that protected action. Love it. And I will say the office is in full groove at the moment with the EBAs. So if you're out there and you're not covered by one yet, you get onto your boss ASAP on Monday morning and get into it.
Talk to your delegate. Talk to your organiser. There's a whole lot of rights that you have under the Fair Work Act, and we're going to make sure you enjoy it. Righto, we might cut to a track now, and we're going with the great man himself, our good friend, McKinley Morganfield, otherwise known as Muddy Waters, Southbound Train.
I wonder why that old southbound train don't run. Yes, I wonder why that old southbound train don't run.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.
Please, conductor, let the poor boy ride. Oh yeah, I'm gonna keep on traveling until I make myself satisfied.
And it's the Concrete Gang every Sunday morning on Community Radio 3CR. And I got control of the music again, and that was the great McKinley Morganfield, Muddy Waters, Southbound Train.
And Muddy Waters, don't we love doing that?
Oh, we like muddy in the waters. And guess what? It might be muddy, but you can still drown in it.
Yes.
Righto, let's move along because there is an issue. It's an important issue to discuss. And String Bean, you'd like to tell us about a little issue in Western Australia which now seems to be catching on right round Australia because, hate to say it, but the company that own John Holland's is a Chinese company, and obviously they are not very fussy as a company about importing stuff from China which is not up to scratch in relation to
asbestos. Nasty asbestos. So, yeah, the federal government has known about this problem for quite a while. We've had a few scares previously, cheap imported products containing asbestos. It's actually started in Brisbane, the Tower of Power, where on a Maltese job we had some gaskets found to contain asbestos. And then very quickly, though, the Royal Children's Hospital, what a place for a bunch of asbestos to be in the ceilings there. Some cement sheet has been discovered to contain asbestos. We've got stories of workers getting covered in clouds of the stuff when they were cutting it up. And that's a pretty horrible story. You've got people worried about going home to their families with clothes covered in dust. So, you know, as we know from the past, there's no safe exposure to asbestos. And so it's very big scare for everyone involved there. But no surprise, really, that it would show up on a job like that where it's been, you know, there's been issues after issues on that site, as there are on John Holland jobs. And clearly they're not too fussed about the cheap products that they're using on their jobs. And I believe not the only problem. So we've got 69 sites that Uanda, which is the importer, have said they've got 69 jobs they've supplied. A lot of those jobs are finished, we think, but we're certainly calling on all the governments and WorkSafe authorities to go and check it out, and we'll have more news about that. But so cheap Chinese products, Chinese free trade agreement, lack of border force control, more interested in stopping vulnerable people than they are in stopping dangerous products coming into the country, and this is the result. So John Holland has some definite questions to answer, and I think they've been coming into a bit of trouble down here in Melbourne on a few jobs as well, not asbestos related necessarily, but we had a report of a few incidents yesterday on civil jobs. So their record continues.
Indeed, it does, String Bean, and
so they're in the hit parade with a bullet.
With a bullet, all right. And you know, getting back to the asbestos. It's been banned from being imported into this country for, 20-odd years now, maybe even longer. And it's just absolutely disgusting that product can make its way, into this country now. The mind just boggles how terrible that is. It really is. And yes, John Holland doing a few projects around Melbourne at the moment, out at Ravenhall, the prison, and the rail projects. And once again, when we talk about, imported products and so forth, there would have been around about 61-tonne slings that were found down on the rail projects during the week, which were not to the Australian standard. These are slings, 1 tonne. They're purple in colour. They may have the Australian standard tag on them, but they are illegal. And they cannot and should not be used. And there they were on a John Holland job.
Who claimed to know nothing about it.
Absolutely, knew nothing about it. Because the people you're dealing with, they're lightweights and had no idea and didn't know how to deal with it. But we assisted them. And whether they wanted the assistance or not, we gave it to them. And they were very thankful in the end.
It's very kind of you, Colin.
Yeah. I thought so too.
It's about time that Gary Marshall said thank you for something. To say nothing of our friend the Badger.
Indeed.
Yes, John Holland's covering themselves in glory yet again. They've been owned by a few people over the years. Leighton's, Janet Holmes' court, goes on and on and on. And unfortunately, they've done some good jobs over the years, but I tell you what, the standard is going down at 100 mile an hour. And even though they maybe not as high profile anti-CFMEU as they were 10 years ago, perhaps, they're still not doing it right, and they're going to have to be held to account as always. They put people at risk. They break down wages and conditions. They are not nice people.
Indeed. And when you find out that people who have been injured on the job are carted back onto the job and stuck in the office so it doesn't count as a lost time injury. Young fella there lost the tip of his finger a couple of nights ago. Don't claim work cover. Just put it on your own Medicare, and we'll sort it out. But please don't put it on work cover and come back to work tomorrow. Another bloke hit by a machine, dislocated his shoulder. Once again, shoved under the carpet. The list goes on and on and on. Blokes being forced to work in the pouring rain, extremely windy conditions. It just goes on and on and on.
Yeah, subcontract employees refusing to work in the rain. Basically told, guess what? We'll get another subcontractor in.
Who will? Exactly.
Righto, moving along to other disgraceful people. CUB.
Oh, we talk about Vic.
Colin, you know and love CUB.
Yes.
And we're not talking about the product.
Used to be a huge supporter and did me very best to make sure the shares of that company were always right up there. But we talk about Vic bitter. Well, the whole dispute's become very bitter now. We have our kindred unions, the AMWU and ETU, they're sitting it out. 55 of their maintenance workers were sacked unceremoniously about 3 or 4 weeks ago and offered their jobs back at about 65% less than the going rate. So obviously no one's going to cop that. And then when you find out that Sab Miller, the owner of CUB, made $4 billion in profit last year. What is going on? But I believe Sab Miller is going to join forces with someone else, so this is all part of the game plan. And the brothers there are sitting it out quite nicely and to be continued, I would imagine.
Second largest brewer in the world, Sab Miller, merging in with the largest brewer in the world, AB InBev. It's ridiculous level of multinational company making your humble VB these days. It's a shocking kind of development. And then we think about if you were to organise a boycott of the CUB products, what beer would you drink? You start going through the list and, gee, there's not many left.
We'll go back to drinking water.
Brunswick Bitter. There you go. Go the local brewery. Brunswick Bitter. It's a decent product and you're not in any way, I don't think, sabotaging the campaign that's going to be run by all unions against CUB.
No wonder a man started making his own gin, but anyway.
Righto, let's talk about something that is significant, and that is the exercise that went on last weekend. We were going to have Scallywag of the Week during the festive show that was recorded on Monday, but in the end that was going to go to air too late, so I'm going to raise it here. Contract control job in Carlton, or Parkville I would have said. Next minute, the health and safety rep is dragged away from the police, from the job, Saturday morning, disturbing the peace. I think the coppers are a little bit embarrassed now that they didn't realise he actually worked on the job and they had no right to drag him away for dealing with health and safety issues on the job. But it was a setup because the ABCC film crew were there, Vic Pol came, the whole bloody lot, the whole circus went on with contract control, and to Mario, the health and safety rep on the job, he was dragged away, they dumped him in the city somewhere and told him he couldn't go back to the job. It's his workplace. I think the Vic Pol are a bit embarrassed. ABCC don't care, they just want to get some kind of shit on the union. And a steward was, health and safety rep was doing his job, and what happens? He is humiliated by Vic Pol, and there is going to be some consequences to all of this. Well done to Mario, he continued to do his job, trying to protect the members of the union on the job from a company who were incompetent and putting people at risk.
Absolutely. 10 out of 10, big fella. And we had a bit of a joke on Monday about it. They tried to cuff him and the cuffs wouldn't fit around his wrist. So he said, it's all right, I'll come quietly. So
bit difficult getting into the pod.
Yeah.
We've had all levels of police getting involved in industrial disputes lately, haven't we? Next we're going to have parking inspectors just picking on the union cars or something, you know.
Oh, that already happens now, I think.
Well, actually, yeah, I saw that happen in Tassie. We had a union car parked in a loading bay that was ticketed while the boss's car wasn't.
Oh. Anyway, let's get the scallywags because we've got a few. I'm going to start the ball rolling with contract control. They have not exactly covered themselves in glory, and they are associated with a few other disasters around the place, including in Hobart, where an associated company supplied relocatable buildings for the wards to be used while the hospital is being rebuilt down there, and they were found to be absolutely riddled with mould and bacteria and all sorts of problems which would have put the patient's health at risk.
Oh, the old mould scope, that's it.
Old scape, that's them. Now, John Hollands. Now, it's going to be hard to beat John Hollands, but Contract Control have done a bid. John Hollands, absolute disgrace across the board, and try and put themselves out there as a national builder with no political agenda and all this bullshit. That's all crap.
National builder, national disgrace.
That's it. Now, who else have we got?
Oh,
you got a couple.
I got to throw in one here. We got Simo, one of the young activists, our esteemed young rep. He hobbles into the Palace Hotel on Monday. He's got the big bandage around his left knee, and we're thinking, gee, I said, what happened, mate? Is it a football injury? The dog bite you? What was it? He goes, I slept awkwardly in bed. You need to harden up, son. Big time.
I think you're going to get nominated for Suki Lala, my boy.
And don't you ever give me that excuse again.
Righto. Who else is up for Suki Lala?
Suki Lala, I don't know. Yeah. But I've got me
Crane Association.
Got me all. Oh yeah, the Crane Association. We've negotiated over many weeks a new agreement with the Crane Association, and they didn't. At the end of the day, they didn't like what they ended up with, so they thought they'd try again. They thought they'd have a second go at the negotiations. Well, bad luck. There is many a company that have already signed up, are happy with the deal, and that's what's going to stay. So, very good.
So they win. I think they deserve to win Suki Lala. But in terms of Scallywag of the Week,
we've got Premier Cranes ripping down power lines out near their yard and not reporting it.
No, come on. John Hollands.
Oh, yes.
They're in a dreadful class of their own.
Unbeatable.
Righto, we're going to go out in the same old way. Dare to struggle, dare to win. If you don't fight,
you lose.
Good morning from the Concrete Gang.
You've been listening to a 3CR podcast produced in the studios of independent community radio station 3CR in Melbourne, Australia. For more information, go to allthews.3cr.org.au.